Chelsea's final preparations in Jakarta. Alonso's plan for AC Milan revealed. And now, with Chelsea's training session in Jakarta continuing, the focus is shifting from simply getting ready for the match to something much bigger. Xabi Alonso is building a team. Every training session gives him another opportunity to understand his players, and the upcoming clash with AC Milan could provide some of his most important answers yet. Chelsea have already spent a significant amount of time together during this preseason tour. They've traveled. They've trained. They've played matches. And they've welcomed new faces into the squad. But the closer Chelsea get to the competitive season, the more important every decision becomes. Alonso now has to start thinking beyond individual performances. He has to think about combinations. Which players understand each other? Which partnership works best? Who can handle the pressure? And who can execute his instructions when the game becomes difficult? Those questions are being answered on the training pitch. One of the biggest areas Alonso will be watching against AC Milan is Chelsea's build-up play. The manager wants his team to have confidence when starting attacks from deep. Instead of simply sending the ball forward, Chelsea should have multiple options. The centre-backs need to be comfortable in possession. The midfielders need to show for the ball. And the attacking players need to create passing lanes. If one player moves, another has to understand how that movement changes the shape of the team. That is where football becomes more than individual talent. It's about 11 players thinking together. And Alonso is trying to develop exactly that. But there is another challenge. AC Milan will not simply allow Chelsea to play comfortably. The Italian side will be looking for opportunities to disrupt Chelsea's rhythm. They will press when they see an opportunity. They will try to force mistakes. And when Chelsea lose possession, Milan can transition quickly. So Chelsea's reaction after losing the ball could be one of the most important parts of this preseason clash. Alonso wants his players to react immediately. If the ball is lost high up the pitch, Chelsea should try to win it back before Milan can launch a counterattack. If that isn't possible, the players have to recover quickly and restore their defensive shape. This requires discipline. And discipline is something that cannot be developed overnight. It has to be repeated again and again in training. That's why Alonso has been demanding intensity from his players in Jakarta. The players are being placed under pressure during small-sided games. They're being forced to make decisions quickly. They're being challenged to react when possession changes. And they're being encouraged to communicate constantly. These exercises may not produce spectacular highlights for social media, but they can be extremely important for building a successful team. Then comes the attacking side. Chelsea need to become more unpredictable in the final third. If the ball is always going to the same player, opponents will eventually figure it out. But if Chelsea can attack from different areas, they become much harder to defend. That's where players like Cole Palmer and Mykhailo Mudryk can provide different qualities. Palmer can operate between the lines, find pockets of space and create opportunities. Mudryk can stretch the defense with his speed. João Pedro can drop deeper and connect with midfield or move closer to the striker. Danny Welbeck provides another option with his experience and physical presence. That variety gives Alonso more possibilities. And when you add other players competing for their places, Chelsea suddenly have a squad with plenty of options. But having options creates another problem. Who starts? That's the difficult decision Alonso has to make. Preseason is partly about discovering the best starting 11. But it's also about identifying the players who can change a match from the bench. Because modern football isn't always won by the 11 players who start. Sometimes the difference comes from a substitute entering the game with fresh legs and changing the tempo. That's why Alonso will be watching the entire squad, not just the likely starters. A player who performs for 20 minutes could impress the manager just as much as someone who plays the entire match. And that competition is healthy. It keeps everyone hungry. It also creates a mentality where players understand that their position cannot be taken for granted. Another important aspect of Chelsea's preparation is leadership. A young squad can have incredible talent, but talent needs guidance. This is where experienced players can make a difference. Players like Jordan Henderson and Danny Welbeck, in this alternate universe storyline, understand the demands of elite football. They know what it means to play under pressure. They know how quickly a good season can change, and they know that football isn't always about confidence when everything is going well. Sometimes leadership is most important when things go wrong. If Chelsea fall behind against Milan, Alonso will need players who remain calm. If Chelsea make mistakes, someone has to encourage the team. If the game becomes physical, experienced players need to keep their teammates focused. That is why experience can be so valuable. And this is also where Alonso's role becomes crucial. The manager isn't only responsible for tactics. He's responsible for creating the mentality inside the dressing room. He has to convince the players that they are capable of competing. He has to establish standards. And he has to make sure everyone understands that wearing the Chelsea shirt comes with expectations. The club expects trophies. The supporters expect ambition. And the players themselves have to believe they can achieve something special. The preseason is where that mentality begins. And the AC Milan match could become another important moment in that process. Imagine Chelsea controlling the opening minutes. The midfield dominating possession. The wingers stretching the Milan defense. The fullbacks pushing forward. The defenders maintaining a high line. That would give Alonso an early indication that his ideas are working. But imagine the opposite. Chelsea lose possession repeatedly. The midfield becomes disconnected. Milan finds space behind the defense. The attackers struggle to create chances. That would also be useful information. Because Alonso would know exactly where the problems are. And that's the beauty of preseason. There is still time to fix them. The objective isn't perfection. It's progress. Every mistake is an opportunity to improve. Every good performance provides confidence. Every training session brings the squad closer together. And every match gives the manager another piece of the puzzle. Chelsea have traveled from one country to another during this pre-season journey, but the mission hasn't changed. Build a stronger squad. Develop a clear identity. Improve fitness. Create chemistry. And prepare for the moment when the competitive season begins. Now Jakarta provides another chapter. The players have trained. The coaching staff have prepared. The supporters are waiting. And AC Milan are getting ready on the other side. Soon, the tactical discussions will end. There will be no more training drills. No more rehearsals. No more experiments without consequences. The referee will blow the whistle. And Chelsea will have to execute. That is when we will discover how much progress Alonso's team has actually made. Will Chelsea's possession football work? Will the pressing be effective? Can the midfield control the tempo? Will the attacking players take their chances? And can the defense remain disciplined against Milan's attacking threats? Those are the questions waiting to be answered. But whatever happens, this preseason journey has already given Alonso something extremely valuable. Time with his players. Time to understand them. Time to teach them. Time to experiment. And time to build the foundations of what he hopes can become a successful Chelsea team. The supporters may be focused on the final score, but inside the Chelsea camp, Alonso will be looking at much more than that. He will be looking at movement, decision-making, communication, fitness, character, and mentality. Because those are the qualities that can separate a good team from a great one. And now, the final preparations in Jakarta are almost complete. Chelsea are ready. AC Milan are ready. The Gelora Bung Karno Stadium is waiting. And another fascinating chapter of this preseason tour is about to unfold. So, Chelsea fans, if you had to choose one player to watch closely against AC Milan, who would it be? Would you pick Cole Palmer? Modric? Caicedo? Welbeck? Henderson? Or could an unexpected player become the star of the night? Drop your prediction in the comments. And if you're following this Chelsea journey, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications, because the preseason story is only getting more interesting. Jakarta has witnessed the preparation. Now it's time for Chelsea and AC Milan to put it to the test. The players have to function as one team. And that appears to be exactly what Alonso is trying to build. Meanwhile, AC Milan were also preparing for the showdown. Their players went through their own exercises, knowing they would soon be sharing the same pitch with Chelsea. The two clubs may be approaching preseason differently, but the objective is similar. Get stronger. Get sharper. Reduce mistakes. And enter the competitive season in the best possible condition. For Chelsea, however, there is another element.